Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Dr. Ericka Goodwin. Welcome, Dr. Ericka.
Can you tell I'm excited?
I can tell you're excited. So, Dr. Ericka, tell me a little bit about yourself. We've talked previously, but I want to know a little bit more.
Well, I am a double board certified and Harvard trained psychiatrist, along with an integrative lifestyle coach and an international speaker. I'm on a mission to help women feel seen, valued, and whole on their own terms. But I also do things that it doesn't matter what anybody's gender is. So I help people, especially with their mental health and mental wellness, through my adult telepsychiatry practice, my speaking, and my books, including my latest book, Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy. I'm based out of Atlanta, and I am just super thrilled to be here. I wish I could be down in Florida with y'all.
I know you're going to have to come visit us, but we love Hotlanta as well. But
Well,
from St. Louis originally, right?
yes, but some of my favorite pancakes ever came from Tally.
Oh,
There was
okay.
some pancake house that had these pumpkin pancakes.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you come on down and get some of those. So, came to Atlanta to attend Spelman?
Yes,
Okay.
I came
And
kicking
then,
and screaming.
okay, kicking and screaming.
Well, when I came to visit, it was kicking and screaming. When I decided to come, I was happy to be here. So I came down to Atlanta to go to college at Spelman. Then I went to medical school at Emory University School of Medicine in Atlanta. Then I did my general psychiatry training, which, if you're not familiar with how all of our training is, that's my adult residency. I did that at Morehouse School of Medicine. Then I did a pit stop off in DC to do a congressional fellowship before going to Boston to one of the Harvard programs to train in child and adolescent psychiatry.
Awesome. So, did you always want to go into psychiatry?
No. I originally wanted to be a pediatrician since I was 3. I was a really sick kid. I had bad asthma. I get pneumonia frequently. The ER staff knew me. I had like my own little spot. So I was just a really sick kid. And somehow I had this epiphany before my 3rd year of med school. So if you don't know how it's structured, where I went to school, you really weren't doing hardly any clinical medicine before your 3rd year. So before I actually really saw patients, I woke up with an epiphany one morning that I was going to be a child psychiatrist. I had no reasons why. God just told me. Then I got reasons.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay. So, you've been practicing in psychiatry for how long?
It depends on when you count from. If you count from when I finished med school, then that would be 21 years. If you count from when I finished all my training, because I did 4 years of general psychiatry training, after that 4 years, you would be considered attending, but I did subspecialty training. So I finished all of my training in 05, but you could count me as super official, probably even by 03.
Wow. And what's been the most interesting thing about your work?
I'd say the most interesting thing is there's literally no way to get bored with this. Every single person is different. So there's literally never a dull moment. It's not a cliche. It's just never dull. And so I love the fact that no day is the same. I don't get bored with it. And the other is I get a chance to feel like I really got to help people. So it's like getting paid to do community service.
That's awesome. Now, I think you are the first Black psychiatrist, I'm sad to say, that I know, but there are others of you out there, correct?
Yes, there are.
And you are a part of a group that has authored a book or two?
Yes, that was part of Global Health Psychiatry, and we did two books together while I was with them. We did Mind Matters, a resource guide to psychiatry for Black communities. So that was our first book, which went through in a question answer format, just broke down mental health in regular language, but with the science behind it, everything from why things may be different in the Black community to all the major mental health issues to aging, health disparities, medication, non-medication treatments, how to advocate for yourself and your loved one. So it just kind of did everything soup to nuts, but it was kind of like if you had a chance to sit down with a really good psychiatrist and sit down in the kitchen with a cup of tea, cup of coffee, glass of wine, I guess a beer, if not too many, what it would be like to just be able to ask any of us anything.
Okay, awesome. So what were some of your findings as it relates to the Black community?
Well, part of it is one of the reasons we did that book was because we realized that sometimes our community needs something special. So the unique thing about that book is the facts in it are good for everybody. So anybody can actually use the book, but there are special considerations in there for the Black community because there are things that are specific to our experiences, our trauma, slavery, the way we have numerous health disparities, differences in access, the effects of racism, which can significantly impact our mental health, along with the presence of the church in the Black community. So we wanted to have something that was very specific, that actually spoke to a lot of things in the Black community, and it wasn't just kind of extrapolating it out to see what it would be like if you were Black. But I think one of the biggest things about it was just the fact of having something that spoke directly, because our avatar was Big Mama. So it's kind of
I
how would
love
Big
that.
Mama want to hear it?
Yes, Big Mama, I think, is our first counselor and therapist, right? Because she can cook up something in that kitchen and talk through those problems and make everything all right, right?
Yeah.
Good deal. So you have authored your own book, right?
That is correct. So I'm
It's,
super excited.
tell me about it.
So it's called Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy. And it means so much to me because I did the original outline for the book in 2004. Actually wrote most of it in 2019. So it took a long time.
Okay.
But the premise of the book is it's a self-help book. And one of the things I pride myself on, anything that I do, is I want to give people practical strategies that they can use, because nothing's like, I think, have you ever kind of sat up, you heard Oprah or Dr. Oz or someone, and you felt so inspired, but when it was over, you're like, well, what do I do next?
Yes, I have.
And this book has the next in it. So it goes through the idea that there's this fairy tale that women are taught from a very young age that, number one, your number one goal in life is going to be to have a husband and have some kids. The next is that if you're a good girl and you do these good girl things, that the husband and kids are going to magically appear. And for a lot of women, that's just not the reality. They do all the things they were taught. They go to school, they get this education, they get the great job, and there is no reward of husband and kids at the end. And since a lot of traditionally the identity of women is tied to being a mother or a wife, that you end up with this whole group of women that just feel unappreciated, unheard, unseen, and also may even sometimes make self-destructive choices trying to fill the gaps of where they feel like there are holes in their life. So this is just to kind of help people learn some skills so that you move from being in a point where you have a mindset of lack and you're thinking about everything you don't have, to being able to accept where your life is now, and also to identify what are the things you really want, not just what society told you should want.
So not that I want you to give all of the book away, but that whole thing that you just said is something that I have had many conversations with women about, specifically about how society tends to favor couples as opposed to singles, and women feel like if they're less than if they don't have a man, and that sort of thing. So what are some of the tools that you illustrate or talk about in a book that can help women that may be feeling that need for validation, or as if they're incomplete without a mate?
Well, part of it is finding a way to get comfortable with who you actually are, of getting comfortable with yourself, so that it's not that situation. I know it's kind of like that Jerry Maguire thing where someone completes you. And it's finding a way to still feel whole, but also there are strategies in there from different ways to learn how to accept all of ourselves, to accept our the good stuff, the shiny stuff, the pretty stuff, and the stuff that's not so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
How to forgive yourself for any mistakes you've made, how to start shifting your priorities to things that actually matter for you, and not be kind of running this rat race over all these things people have told you you want. I don't even know if I put it in there, but one of my best friends, I remember we were in our 30s. I'm not going to say how old I am, but we were in our 30s. And she had this epiphany that she didn't even want kids. Her mom just wanted kids. She never actually wanted kids. And the thing I also see a lot in my office and just in regular life is people have this idea of how this life looks when you get this fairy tale, when you have a nice job, you have a husband, you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, that picture is not, when they get it, they're like, whoa,
I
they
did not
had no
sign
idea
up
what
for this.
they were getting into.
Mm-hmm.
But part of it is people aren't thinking about the practicalities of what are all these things. They're just thinking of these. You literally were just handed this checklist. This is what you're supposed to do. And people start checking the list, and it may or may not be something that they actually wanted. But once you get that husband, or once you have that kid, you can't rewind.
No.
So much.
Can you trade them in?
Well, you can kind of trade in a husband. It's going to be expensive.
Okay.
It's not cheap. I have friends that are in that. It's cheaper to keep them, just like it used to be. It's cheaper to keep her.
To keep her, right? Yes, I remember that.
So I think a lot of it is just moving through how to identify what you really want,
Mm-hmm.
and how to get it.
Yeah.
But also how to have the mindset shift so that you're using the law of attraction and you're attracting it versus fighting against everything. Because a lot of times it's easy to get into that thought process of lack or scarcity, where all you're doing is your mind is focused on everything you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at law of attraction, if all you're focused on is, I don't have a man, I don't have my kids, they don't pay me enough at work, nobody listens to me at work, all you're going to attract is more of that.
Exactly. I absolutely agree with that. So you have a busy life. You have your practice, you're author, you're international speaker, and you're a podcaster as well. So
Well, I've been live streaming.
Yes. So that's podcasting, or video podcasting. So is this something that you've started since COVID, or were you doing that prior to 2020?
I was doing it prior to COVID. I started in 2019.
Okay.
But being on there regularly, like multiple days a week, that started in COVID. Before COVID, you'd find me about once a week. Part of COVID, I was there 5 days a week. Then I went down to 4. Trying to do the self-care I'm telling other people to do.
All right. So I know that you have been a regular on our good buddy, our mutual friend, Chuck Hobbs' Observation Point, sort of as the mental health expert. So we are rolling into the holidays, and I wanted you to talk to the viewers about some things that they can do to avoid stress during the holiday season. Folks are still not quite going out and being with friends and family, so they may not be able to get together like they normally would. So any advice or tips that you can give as it relates to that?
I think it's a couple of different directions in that. I'm going to do my best to be quick and brief.
Okay.
So for the people that want to go home or want to be with their family and can't, either because of the travel with COVID, or it would just be too many people and wouldn't necessarily be safe, this is a time where you have to find creative ways to do your traditions. So one thing is that you don't have to Zoom, FaceTime, whatever kind of video situation you do, And especially with Thanksgiving, a lot of families do something where each person says something they're grateful for. You can still do those things and people be kind of dialed in virtually. So I would encourage people to still do things with their family. It may not be exactly the same thing you do, or if it's picking something and you all cook a similar meal. I know a lot of people this year, just due to how things are, they may not be cooking the huge big meals they would have before, but there's still things you can do together as a family, even if you aren't together. So being creative about how to still continue to connect, even if it's smaller things than you would have otherwise. The next thing is also being cognizant of your safety and the safety of the older people in your family. That I know a lot of people feel this draw to everybody still get together. But as we see, the COVID numbers are going up. So we're still in that space where you have to think of short-term gain versus the long-term. And a COVID is a chess game. Because the short term is, oh, we hang out. The chess game is you might get knocked off the board and be dead, or somebody be dead. And I feel like on observation, I'm always like, and they die. But this situation is life or death. You know, the next thing I'd say is if you are getting together, be mindful to be safe. This is not the time to decide that you're going to get 20, 30 people together because it's the holiday. Nobody wants their holiday dinner to have been the super spreader event of the community.
Right.
Nobody wants that. So you have to be smart. You know, this is a great time that most people know who's in your bubble. If you're not in that bubble, you know, to enter a bubble, I'm a fan of you COVID test before you enter a bubble.
So you got to present your test at the door before you come in.
Well, I'm a fan, but I realize I'm relatively conservative because I've only gone home once during COVID, and I COVID tested twice and stayed home for 14 days.
Okay.
But you just have to be smart about it. And I think the other thing is this is a time for gratitude instead of thinking about everything we don't have or how the holidays aren't going to be the way we had imagined them or how they typically were. Is there are a lot of families that are not able to celebrate at all. There are some people that are not above ground for this holiday. So they're not sitting up thinking about, oh my God, I'm not getting together with my family. They're dead.
Right.
I keep talking about death.
You do.
But it's one of those things that sometimes you have to be grateful for the fact you are just here. And it works that Thanksgiving is the next major holiday, that some of it's putting everything in perspective. That it may not be exactly the way you want it to be, but at least you're actually here for it. And you can still talk to your family or loved ones or come up with some alternative things that you can do. And if you typically get together and you could still get together and, you know, your family typically argues or it just goes kind of south or sideways. Luckily, hopefully the election talk is about over, because I know that was a stress for a lot of families, was when everyone didn't necessarily agree about the election, is to really commit to enjoying each other's company. And if people know there are hot button topics or hot trigger topics, this is not the year to talk about them. This isn't the year to have a huge political debate. This may not be the year to sit and have a debate on our COVID. Is COVID real or is COVID Memorex? Should we wear a mask? Should we not wear masks? This is a good year to just avoid hot button topics and actually enjoy each other.
I think that's an excellent idea. You know, one of the things that I like to do when I do have an opportunity, especially to spend time with the seniors in my family, is get them to talk about maybe their first memory or how they met their spouse or, you know, some childhood experience or something like that, and record it, because, you know, probably they have more days behind them than ahead of them. And it's good to get those stories firsthand from them if you can. So I like all of what you just said. So we are going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to hear about what's next for Dr. Ericka and hear about what your greater work is. So you all stay tuned for more conversations.
Conversations with Nicole.
Thank you so much, Nicole. What's up, everybody? It is your girl, Gian, the #1 wellness expert in the world, and we are taking our trip to the transformation place where we are talking about this week the importance of sleep in the circadian rhythm. So in an article that was published in 2010, yes, I know that sounds like a long time ago, but this article has been cited over 20 times in 2020, and that's a lot of 20s. Back to the article. So in this article that was published in the Annals of the New York Academy of Sciences, they actually talked about the peak times during the night and the peak times during the day that we produce these things called cytokines. Now at night when we are sleeping, we produce a peak amount during the peak time at night of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are good at helping us produce T cells. And then in the daytime, when we're running around and we're doing our thing with the sun up, we are producing anti-inflammatory cytokines. Now, these things are working together in our circadian system to help us ward off diseases such as cancer, any anti-inflammatory disease, or any type of tumors that may be coming about in our bodies from the elements that we're fighting against and against food that we put into our bodies. So what does that say? That means that we are to go to sleep at night and stay up during the day. And all I can tell you is if you're working an overnight job, which I know some of us have to provide for our families, but if you are, that is actually considered a class 2 carcinogen, which means that it helps us produce cancer or cancerous cells at a faster rate. So if you can find something better, then let's do that. So number 1, how can this information benefit us? So go inside and see if it will benefit you. If you notice that you are not getting enough sleep at night, or you fall asleep really late at night, or you wake up really early in the morning and you go to sleep super late, then we actually need to make some adjustments. All you have to do is create a plan for yourself. You already know. After we create this plan, we're going to try it for 7 days. We're going to reassess. If we're doing really good, if we feel great, then we're going to carry it on out for another 30 days. And we're going to reassess after 30 days. So the goal for this week, after taking your trip to the transformation place, is actually improving the quality sleep that you receive and going to bed at night so that you can produce those cytokines, and then staying up and being really active during the day. Thank you so much for joining me this week on the Transformation Place. I want y'all to remember to press and fly. Press through your obstacles so that you can fly right on towards your destiny. Peace and blessings, love and light.
Conversations with Nicole.
Welcome back to Conversations with Nicole. Thank you, Gian, for that wellness tip. If you are just joining us, I've been talking to Dr. Ericka Goodwin. We talked about some tips to make our holidays not so stressful, but I want to know, what is next for Dr. Ericka?
There is so much that is next. So the first thing is I'm in the process of growing my telepsychiatry practice. Honestly, I had no idea I would love it so much. So it has been a blessing. The next thing is I actually will have some things coming out for Black Friday.
Oh,
So I'm so excited. And I'll also be doing, I guess this is going to be one of the first places I say it. So I'm actually doing a challenge related to vision boards.
Oh, nice.
So that we can all make the most out of the rest of this year and be ready to springboard into 2021. But past that, just expanding on speaking and just doing my best to be an ambassador of love and mental wellness, because everyone deserves good mental wellness. It's a right. And I think a lot of people don't look at it as their right and their God-given gift. And it's humongous once people are able to embrace that, the way quality of life can just uptick and get better. And I just want everyone to have the best life so that every day they're able to make memories and have so many things to look back on that they feel like they've actually really lived. When they look at the tapestry of their entire life, they feel like they've lived, not that they've survived through their life.
Awesome. Well, you already answered my last question, which was, what is your greater work, in that little spiel you just gave right then. So thank you.
Oops.
It's okay. So how can folks connect with you?
Well, on social media, you can find me literally everywhere at Dr. Ericka, DoctorEricka. That's DoctorEricka. The other place that's pretty easy to find me is my practice. It's telepsychiatry, so I'm seeing people across the country, and that's at AskDrGoodwin.com, but it's not spelled out. So it's AskDrGoodwin.com. That's how you find me.
Awesome. Well, I enjoy watching your videos on Instagram and because you just have so much energy and you're so encouraging. So I want to thank you so much for being my guest today and taking some time to give us some holiday tips to have a stress-free holiday with our family and friends, whether we're together or virtual. So I appreciate that and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you for all your hard work and for just giving me the opportunity to be here. But I know you do so much work for the community. It's definitely a blessing.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ericka. All right. So today, closing us out is indie artist Springtime with her original song entitled Accountability. We'll see you next time.
What you mean and mean what you say. Boy, why you harassing me? I told you I